This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. Stop right where you are, son. Don't fidget, don't glance away, don't let the crackle of the fire or the patter of the rain steal your focus. What I'm about to tell you is not small talk, not entertainment, not another set of pretty words that float away on the wind. No, this here is the marrow of the matter, the kind of truth that divides the rich from the poor, the leaders from the led, the men who carve trails from the men who are dragged along them. The world does not bow because of luck. The world does not yield because of talent. The world bends for one reason and one reason only: the strength and precision of a man's thought. Warren Buffett himself, sitting in that quiet Nebraska office, far from the noise of Wall Street, built an empire not with muscle, not with armies, not even with invention, but with mindset. He thought differently. He believed differently. And because of that, the world bent. Now here where Solomon and Buffett shake hands across centuries. Solomon, they say, was the wisest man to ever walk the earth. His wealth was not just silver and gold piled high, but insight sharper than any sword, foresight clearer than the desert sky. Buffett may wear modern clothes and sit under fluorescent lights instead of a throne room glow, but he's proof of the same law: riches flow to the man whose mind rules over his appetites, whose patience outlasts the crowd, whose belief is stronger than the storm. Let me make this plain for you. You already have a kingdom, though you may not see it yet. That kingdom is your mind. Every decision, every reaction, every hour you spend is either fortifying the walls of that kingdom or letting invaders through the gates. Most men waste their days patching leaks, chasing noise, living as if their thoughts were accidents instead of weapons. But Buffett, like Solomon, understood. You don't let your mind drift. You harness it. You set it on rails of principle, and you ride those rails straight into destiny. So let's take this slow, steady, like a trail ride at dusk. Picture this: two men stand at the same crossroads. Both got the same chance, the same tools, the same hours in a day. One man doubts himself, thinks the world against him, sees every obstacle as a wall too tall to climb. His belief paints his world in defeat, and sure enough, defeat is all he finds. The other man, he thinks different. He sees challenges as doors waiting to be opened. He believes the world is pliable, like clay in his hands. And because he believes it, he acts like it, and the clay bends. That's the difference, plain as day. Not chance, not blessing, belief. And belief, mind you, is not some misty feeling that drifts in and out. Belief is law written in your bones. Buffett didn't make billions because he hoped the market would smile on him. He made billions because he believed in the power of patience, the certainty of value, the law that wealth comes to those who plant seeds and water them year after year. Solomon didn't rule empires because he wished for wisdom. He ruled because he believed wisdom was more precious than rubies. And once he believed it, every decision he made flowed from that belief. That's the first rope I want you to hold onto tonight. The world is your mirror. It reflects not your hidden potential, but your dominant thought. If you tell yourself you're unlucky, you'll see proof of it everywhere. If you tell yourself you're doomed, you'll find chains on every corner. But if you believe, truly believe, that the world is bendable, that riches are not running from you but toward you, that obstacles are not walls but stepping stones, then that's exactly what you'll see. The mirror will obey your belief. This is why I tell you to listen close. You may think your biggest battle is out there in the world with bills, bosses, markets, or rivals, but no, your biggest battle is between your ears. Win that fight, and the rest of the world has no choice but to follow. That not poetry, that law. Solomon wrote it, Buffett lived it, and now it's your turn. But hear the warning: the world bends slow. It doesn't snap at the first tug. That's where most men fail. They expect one affirmation, 1 week of discipline, one burst of energy to change the tides. And when nothing shifts, they quit. Buffett didn't quit. He let time be his servant. Solomon didn't waver. He let patience carve his throne. If you want the world to bend, you must push with belief every single day until the bending begins. It is not the strong who conquer, it is the steady. Now let me ask you, how do you think? Right now, in this very season of your life, are your thoughts sowing poverty or sowing plenty? Do you walk into rooms with doubt wrapped around you like a tattered coat, or do you carry yourself as if kingship is your birthright? Do you see money as scarce, or as a river you can learn to direct? Answer honestly, for your belief has already written the script of your life, whether you admit it or not. But hear the good news, the script can be rewritten. The crown can be claimed. Tonight, under this rain, beside this fire, with Buffett's steadiness and Solomon's wisdom echoing through history, you can choose a new belief. Act as if nothing is impossible. Think as if wealth is already yours. Move as if the world must obey, and in time, it will. Now lean in close, because this is where most men get it twisted. They think belief means waiting for a feeling. They say, I'll believe when I see the results. But that backwards, son. That like a farmer staring at the empty soil and saying, I'll believe in the harvest once the stalks are tall. Belief is the seed. Belief comes first, long before the field turns green. Buffett believed in the value of a company when the world mocked him for buying boring businesses. Solomon believed in wisdom when other kings were hoarding weapons and treasure. And because their belief came first, the results followed like cattle trailing a bell. Understand this, belief isn't wishful thinking. It's discipline in disguise. To believe means to live as though the outcome is certain, to walk steady when others are running frantic. Buffett would sit in that office year after year while markets crashed and panicked men tore their hair out. But he believed in his principles, so he stayed put. And when the dust settled, his fortune was bigger, his grip tighter. Solomon stood among rival rulers who boasted of their armies, yet it was his wisdom, his steady hand, that gave him dominion. The world bends not for the loudest, but for the surest. Now let's talk about why so many men fail. They've got ambition without anchoring. They want riches, but they don't want law. They crave success, but they don't crave understanding. It's like a greenhorn trying to ride a wild stallion with no saddle, no rope, no training. Sure, the horse might carry him for a stretch, but sooner or later he's thrown, broken, limping back to camp. Ambition without belief, without structure, will buck you into the dirt every time. Buffett wasn't the fastest rider, but he had a saddle. Solomon wasn't the strongest warrior, but he had law, and that's why their reigns lasted. So how do you think like that? First, you must root out doubt like weeds in a field. Doubt whispers, you're not ready, you're not enough, you'll never manage it. And if you water that weed, it will strangle every good seed you plant. You've got to hear that voice and answer back with law. I am not ruled by fear, I am ruled by principle. I plant today, I reap tomorrow. I believe, therefore I act. I act, therefore I win. Do this daily. Speak it out loud. Because belief isn't just silent agreement, it's spoken conviction. And every time you speak it, you pour another gallon of water on the seed of faith in your soul. Second, you must see time as your ally. The impatient man burns himself out. He throws his energy like kindling, flames bright for a moment, then dies cold and black. The believing man is steady like an oak. He plants, waters, waits, and trusts the law of seasons. Buffett made his wealth not by chasing quick money, but by letting time multiply it. Solomon judged disputes with patience, knowing that wisdom revealed itself not in haste, but in careful discernment. If you think like everything must happen now, you'll break yourself. But if you think like time is on your side, the world bends slow and sure. Third, surround your belief with vision. A man with no vision stumbles even on clear roads. A man with vision walks steady even in fog. Buffett's vision was not simply to be rich, it was to master the craft of investing, to let compounding do what few men had the patience to watch. Solomon's vision was not just to sit on a throne, but to create order where chaos once ruled, to build a kingdom where wisdom was prized above brute force. What is your vision? If your belief is the engine, your vision is the compass. Without it, you'll spin in circles, wasting fuel, going nowhere. Now let's touch on a deeper truth. The world bends for those who bend themselves first. Discipline is the forge of belief. You can't expect to command riches if you can't command your own habits. Buffett lived modest, read constantly, refused the temptations of vanity. Solomon humbled himself to ask for wisdom instead of wealth. Both men bent their pride, their impulses, their appetites. And because they bent themselves, the world bent to them. If you're still ruled by laziness, by distraction, by excuses, don't expect the world to treat you as a master. It knows better. It reflects your inner government. And let me tell you something plain. You don't need the world approval. You don't need a chorus cheering you on. Belief is a lonely trail. Buffett was mocked. Solomon was doubted. The path of faith is not paved with applause. It is paved with silence, with grit, with nights by the fire staring into the dark, holding fast to what you know inside while others shake their heads. But that's the price. And when you pay it, the payoff is greater than gold. Hear the shift you need to make tonight. Stop asking whether the world is possible. Start asking whether you are willing to believe until it bends. Stop thinking in terms of chance and start thinking in terms of law. Stop begging life to be easier and start commanding your thoughts to be stronger. If you live like that, I don't care how far behind you feel right now, the world will catch up to you. It has no choice. That law. So from this moment, make a covenant with yourself. I will think as if nothing is impossible. I will act as if the result is already mine. I will stand steady. I will walk patient. I will speak belief daily until doubt starves and faith reigns. And when I do, the world will not break me, it will bend for me. Good, let ride further into it. Here the next long stretch, deep 400 characters of think like this, and the world will bend for you. Still in that slow burn cowboy cadence, heavy with Buffett grit and Baldwin Solomon wisdom. No repeats, no cheap loops, every line is fresh soil. Now let me tell you the part most men never hear. The world is not testing your strength, it is testing your belief. Think about that. The storm that rises against you isn't asking if you can lift it, outrun it, or outfight it. It's asking if you'll stay planted, if your roots are deep enough. A tree with shallow roots topples in the first wind, no matter how wide its branches spread. But a tree with roots sunk deep into the earth may bend, may sway, may groan in the storm, but it will not fall. Your belief is your root, and if it is shallow, life will strip you bare. But if it is deep, even the fiercest wind must bow to your endurance. Buffett wasn't immune to storms. He lost deals, he watched markets collapse, he faced ridicule from the so-called experts who claimed he was outdated, behind, foolish. But his root was belief in the simple principle: buy value, hold steady, trust time. And because his roots were deep, the storms passed and the tree remained. Solomon faced enemies within his borders and beyond. Men plotted, whispered, tested his patience. But his root was wisdom, and wisdom does not bow to panic. So his kingdom held. That is the truth. Storms don't destroy men, shallow roots do. Now hear where you step in. If you keep feeding yourself with fear, news, gossip, comparisons, your roots stay shallow. You grow quick, tall, flashy, but the first storm strips you bare. You've seen men like that. They rise fast, talk loud, look unstoppable. Then one setback, one betrayal, one bad season, and they vanish. Why? No roots. And if you want the world to bend to you, you can't be shallow. You've got to go deep. Deep into study, deep into discipline, deep into silence. And let me remind you, silence is not emptiness. Silence is soil. Most men are afraid of it because in silence they hear their own weakness. They drown it out with noise, with endless distractions. But the man who embraces silence grows roots. Buffett spent hours in silence, reading, thinking, letting ideas sink. Solomon sat in silence before judgment, hearing not just words but the spirit behind them. Do you see? The world bends for the man who can master silence, for silence births clarity, and clarity governs chaos. Hear another truth. The world bends not just to thought but to order. Your inner world must be structured if you expect the outer world to obey. Buffett had rules, iron, unbending rules. Never invest in what you don't understand. Never be controlled by greed or fear. Always let compounding work its slow miracle. Solomon had laws. He wrote them, spoke them, lived by them. Men respected him not because of his crown, but because he governed himself first. You cannot expect the world to follow a man who cannot follow himself. So tonight I ask you, what are your laws? What rules shape your days? If you say none, then I already know why the world resists you. A man without law is like a rider without reins. He may shout, he may kick, he may cling, but the horse is wild and he is powerless. Set your reins, make your rules, hold to them even when the trail gets rough. Then you'll see the world begin to obey, for the world respects order. And let us speak on wealth, since too many get this confused. Wealth is not money. Money is a reflection of wealth. Wealth is law, wisdom, discipline, and vision wrapped into one. Money flows to the man who governs these things because money respects structure. Buffett didn't chase dollars. He built frameworks, and dollars chased him. Solomon didn't beg for riches. He asked for wisdom, and riches bent themselves to serve him. If you chase wealth as numbers, you'll stay hungry. If you chase wisdom as law, numbers will find you whether you chase them or not. But don't misunderstand me. Wealth is not passive. It responds to action. Belief without action is like a lamp with no oil, pretty to look at, useless in the dark. Action is the proof of belief. If you say you believe but you never act, you are lying to yourself. Buffett acted, he bought when fear ruled. Solomon acted, he judged when others hesitated. Their belief was not an idea, it was a way of living. So hear me plain. The world bends not to belief alone, but to belief proven in action. Now let me draw your attention to vision again. A vision without boundaries becomes fantasy. A vision without law becomes chaos. Your vision must be tethered by principle. Buffett's vision of compounding was tethered by rules of patience. Solomon's vision of a kingdom was tethered by laws of wisdom. Without principle, vision drifts like smoke, vanishing in the wind. But vision with principle builds empires, reshapes economies, bends nations. That's the scale you're playing with when you think right. And do not forget, faith is contagious. Men follow conviction. They bend not just to laws of the world, but to the steady will of one who believes without shaking. Buffett investors followed because they saw in him a man who would not panic. Solomon people obeyed because they saw in him a king who would not falter. If you believe deeply, you won't have to chase followers, opportunities, or wealth. They will chase you, drawn to the flame of your steadiness. Now let me take you deeper. Doubt is a parasite. It lives off the energy you waste feeding it. But here the cure, action in line with belief. Every step you take toward your vision is a blow against doubt. Every rule you keep, every silence you embrace, every storm you outlast, that is another root growing deeper, another anchor in the soil. Soon doubt can find no home in you. It starves. And when doubt starves, belief flourishes. And when belief flourishes, the world bends. So the question remains, how deep are you willing to go? Are you content with shallow roots, flashy branches, and empty soil? Or will you sink yourself deep, feed on silence, draw strength from law, and grow steady? Because if you do, no wind can break you, no drought can starve you, no storm can strip you bare. And when the world sees a man who cannot be broken, it bends. Not by chance, not by accident, but by law. Now listen close, because this here is where most men fall off the horse. They nod their heads at wisdom, tip their hat to truth, but when the fire dies down and the morning comes, they walk right back into the same rut. That because they treat wisdom as something to hear, not something to do. But a law unkept is no law at all. A truth unpracticed might as well be a lie. If you want the world to bend, you must live as if bending it is your birthright, and that begins not with grand gestures, but with small, unshakable rituals. Let's start with the morning. Every day, you are given two choices at sunrise. You can drift or you can direct. The drifter checks his phone, scrolls through noise, lets other men's thoughts set his course. The director rises with intent. Before a word is spoken, before a step is taken, he shapes his mind. Buffett read in the morning, not gossip, not cheap headlines, but company reports, books, truths that built his judgment. Solomon meditated, prayed, drew stillness into his spirit so his words would carry weight. And you, what will you do? Wake up and feed yourself weakness or feed yourself law? First ritual, feed your mind before the world feeds it for you. Take in wisdom, speak belief out loud, write your laws. You may say it feels foolish at first, speaking into silence, writing the same words every day. But let me tell you, silence isn't empty, it listens. And repetition isn't madness, it's mastery. You do this not once, not twice, but daily, until belief hardens into bone. Second ritual, guard your attention. Your attention is the coin of the spirit. Spend it cheap, and your life becomes cheap. Spend it wisely, and riches follow. Buffett didn't attend every meeting, didn't chase every trend. He focused. Solomon didn't listen to every fool quarrel, didn't answer every whisper. He weighed only what mattered. Attention is the lever that moves your life. Put it on gossip, fear, envy, and your life bends to weakness. Put it on wisdom, vision, creation, and your life bends to strength. Third ritual, delay gratification. This right here separates boys from men. Most men trade tomorrow for today. They eat the seed instead of planting it. They grab quick pleasure and call it reward, but they never taste harvest. Buffett built his empire on patience. He let money grow while others snatched quick gains. Solomon grew his kingdom by building slowly, stone upon stone, law upon law. You want the world to bend? Then hold steady when others scramble. Plant what you could eat now and wait until it becomes a field. Fourth ritual, confront silence. Every day, take time with no noise, no distraction, no escape. Let the silence test you. In that stillness, you'll hear your excuses rise. You'll hear your fears whisper. Do not run. Face them, write them down, strip them bare, then replace them with laws. For example, fear says you'll fail. Law answers, failure is feedback and I grow from it. Doubt says you're not enough. Law answers, I was born with purpose and I am growing into it. Silence is not your enemy, it is the forge where weakness burns away. Fifth ritual, act daily, no matter how small. A man who only thinks and never acts is like a farmer who plows the soil but never plants a seed. Thought shapes the ground, but action brings the harvest. Buffett acted when fear was thick. Solomon acted when confusion ruled. You must act when doubt clouds your sky. One call, one page written, one step taken. Daily action proves belief. Without proof, belief dies. Now hear me, because this may be the hardest truth of all. Your circle either bends with you or bends you. Buffett surrounded himself with men of principle. Solomon gathered wise counselors, not flatterers. If your circle is weak, fearful, lazy, then no matter your strength, their doubt will bend you down. But if your circle is strong, driven, principled, their fire will feed yours. So another ritual, guard your company. Better to walk alone with truth than march with a crowd of fools. You see, these rituals aren't glamorous. They don't sparkle. They won't make headlines, but they are laws of bending. And here's the secret most don't want to face. The world does not bend to the man who waits for lightning. It bends to the man who lights a candle every day until the room is filled with flame. Now, let's tie it back to wealth. Wealth is not a jackpot. Wealth is not sudden. Wealth is bending over years, steady and unseen. Buffett billions didn't come from a single strike. They came from compounding, a law of nature that rewards patience. Compounding is proof that the world bends slowly but surely to discipline. Solomon's kingdom didn't rise overnight. It grew through decades of wise judgment, law enforced and vision applied. You want to bend the world? Then marry discipline to time. Let patience be your partner and compounding your servant. And don't you forget, the world bends to vision more than labor. You can labor your whole life and never escape the cage if you labor without vision. But one man with vision bends a nation. Buffett's vision was to buy companies, not stocks, to see value where others saw noise. Solomon's vision was to build a kingdom of wisdom, not conquest. And your vision? It must be written, spoken, lived. Vision without action is a dream. Action without vision is wasted sweat. But vision married to action, that is the formula for bending the world. So I ask you again, will you drift or direct? Will you repeat the weak rituals of the world, or will you build the strong ones of wisdom? Because this is not a game. This is law. And law does not break for men. Men break for law, unless, of course, they obey it. Obey the law of belief. Obey the law of attention. Obey the law of patience. Obey the law of silence. Obey the law of action. Do this daily, and the world will not resist you. It cannot. For the world bends to the man who bends himself first. Now lean closer to the fire, friend, because this is the piece most men never get told. You can practice rituals, you can follow habits, you can even build wealth by chance, but if your identity doesn't change, the world will not stay bent. For you can rise for a season, you can gather for a while, but without a new self, you will sabotage your own harvest. That is why Buffett said his biggest investment was not stocks, but in becoming the kind of man who could hold stocks. That is why Solomon prayed not for riches, not for victory, but for wisdom that would shape him into a king who could govern. Identity comes before permanence. Let me tell you something plain. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. A beggar may dream of wealth, but if he carries the mind of lack, gold will slip through his hands. A coward may dream of conquest, but if fear lives in his chest, no sword will make him king. Identity is the soil, results are the fruit.
Rotten soil cannot grow a harvest, no matter how much labor you pour. Rich soil, even left alone, will bear fruit in time. So the question is not, what do I want, but who must I become for it to come naturally? Buffett became the man who could wait, and so billions found him. Baldwin became the king who could endure suffering with dignity, and so respect and loyalty found him. Solomon became the man who sought wisdom above all, and so both riches and power found him. Who must you become? That is the only question that matters. Identity begins with belief, but it does not end there. You must root belief so deep it becomes instinct. If you believe you are disciplined, your actions will prove it without effort. If you believe you are wise, you will weigh decisions differently, with patience, with calm. The trick is this: identity is not claimed once, it is carved daily. A single choice may not make you, but 1,000 choices in one direction surely will. Picture this: a man says, "I am wealthy." He has no coin, no land, no title. Yet day after day he carries himself as a steward of abundance. He spends carefully, invests wisely, gives generously, and multiplies little into much. Over time, his outside bends to match his inside. Another man says, "I am rich already in spirit, so I will not care for my coin." He squanders, he wastes, he feeds vanity. And though riches may come for a season, they flee from his hand. Do you see it? It is not money that makes the wealthy man. It is the wealthy man that makes the money. And here where most fail, they try to change action without changing self. They say, "I will work harder," but inside they believe, "I am lazy." They say, "I will earn more," but inside they believe, "I am unlucky." They say, "I will be wise," but inside they believe, "I am foolish." The world listens to the inside, not the outside. You cannot outwork your identity, but you can reforge it. How? 3 laws of identity. First law: speak the man you are becoming. Words shape worlds. Solomon spoke proverbs until his people saw him as wisdom embodied. Buffett spoke patiently of compounding until others saw him as the oracle. Identity is reinforced by voice. Each morning, speak not of who you were, not of who you fear, but of who you are becoming. Say it until even your doubts bow to it. Second law: align your smallest action with your largest self. Do not wait for grand moments to prove identity. The king proves himself in how he holds silence, not just how he holds the throne. The investor proves himself in a single patient choice, not just in billion-dollar moves. Every small act is a vote for who you are. If you believe you are disciplined, then wash the dish now, rise on time, save the coin. If you believe you are wise, then pause before reacting, seek counsel, weigh carefully. These small acts forge the steel of identity. Third law: endure the test. Every identity will be tested. Baldwin was tested by sickness. Buffett was tested by ridicule. Solomon was tested by temptation. And you will be tested by delay, by doubt, by struggle. Most men break and return to their old self, but the law says, hold the line, and your identity will harden into permanence. Each test is not punishment, it is proof. The fire does not destroy gold, it refines it. Now let me tell you a hard truth under this rain. Wealth is not kept by skill alone. Wealth is kept by identity. Many men rise fast with skill, luck, or labor, only to fall because their identity stayed poor. They win money but keep the heart of a gambler, and it vanishes. They gain power but keep the heart of a child, and it corrupts them. They earn respect but keep the heart of a beggar, and they sell it cheap. Only the man who transforms his identity holds what he gains. That is why Buffett never sold his patience. That is why Solomon guarded wisdom above all. That is why Baldwin, though diseased, bent nations with respect, because dignity was his identity. Now ask yourself under this firelight, who must I become to deserve what I seek? Not what hacks must I learn, not what shortcuts must I take. Those are questions of a beggar. Ask instead, who must I be? If you seek wealth, become a steward. If you seek respect, become a man of principle. If you seek freedom, become disciplined. Become, and you will receive. Fail to become, and even what you receive will flee. So the lesson tonight is this: bend yourself before you ask the world to bend, for the world bends easily to the man who cannot be bent within.
Buffett could not be bent by greed, and so wealth bent to him. Solomon could not be bent by flattery, and so nations bent to him. Baldwin could not be bent by despair, and so loyalty bent to him. And you, what will not bend you? Decide that now. Write it as law. Live it daily. Let the rain bear witness. And remember this: your identity is not what they say you are. It is not what your past proves. It is what you decide and enforce. Every day you carve it deeper. Every test you endure, every choice you make, every word you speak. These are the hammer, the chisel, the fire. Keep carving, keep forging, keep bending yourself, and soon the world will have no choice but to bend to the man you've become. Now listen close, for we have reached the part where most men hunger too soon. They want dominion before they've mastered self. They want to rule others while still slaves to doubt. They want wealth before they can even manage a coin without trembling. But dominion, true dominion, is never granted to the man who cannot first govern himself. Look at the lives of the great. Solomon could not govern a kingdom until he governed his own hunger for power. Buffett could not master the markets until he mastered his own fear and greed. Baldwin could not command armies until he commanded his spirit in the face of despair. Dominion is not granted, it is recognized. When a man proves unshakable in self, the world begins to obey him without force. Here's the secret. Dominion is not about conquering, it is about governing. The man who governs his mind governs his day. The man who governs his day governs his wealth. The man who governs his wealth governs his people. And the man who governs his people governs his destiny. It flows in order, like a river that begins with a spring. You cannot skip to the ocean without first guarding the spring. So let us begin where dominion begins, with time. Time is the first field you are given to rule. Squander it, and you prove unworthy of greater fields. Buffett has said his advantage was not brilliance, but the willingness to let time compound for him. Solomon declared there was a season for everything. A man must know when to sow and when to reap. Baldwin knew that even dying men must count their hours wisely, for each hour could shape a nation. How do you treat time? Like a beggar clinging to scraps, or like a king assigning soldiers? The man who governs time does not chase it, he assigns it. He rises when he says he will. He rests when he knows he must. He pours hours into work that multiplies, not into pleasures that drain. Every wasted day is not merely a lost day. It is a signal to the world that you cannot be trusted with larger responsibility. If you cannot govern a day, how could you govern a kingdom? Next comes wealth. Wealth is not dominion itself, it is the test of it. Wealth will amplify what you are. To the fool, wealth multiplies foolishness. To the coward, wealth multiplies fear. To the wise, wealth multiplies wisdom. Buffett's billions do not define him. They reveal that he became the man who could govern them. Many win the lottery and lose it within years because wealth exposed what they already were: undisciplined, careless, unworthy. Wealth is not a gift, it is a magnifying glass. So if you seek dominion over wealth, prove yourself now with the little. Save when others spend, invest when others consume, protect when others gamble. Treat 10 coins as you would 1,000. Treat 1,000 as you would 1,000,000. Only then will the world say, this man can be trusted with abundance. Solomon taught this in parables. Buffett proved it with decades. Baldwin lived it by ruling loyally even when dying. Govern what you have now, and dominion will be added to you. And then comes people. Dominion over people is not control, nor manipulation. It is stewardship. Baldwin knew that though his body was frail, his leadership gave men courage. Solomon knew that a king without wisdom was a curse to his people. Buffett knew that partners, investors, and friends trusted him because he never betrayed principle. Dominion over people is earned by consistency, not demanded by fear. A man who cannot govern himself cannot govern a family. A man who cannot govern a family cannot govern a people. Hear the bitter truth. Most men want followers, yet they cannot even follow their own word. They want loyalty, yet they betray themselves with excuses. They want respect, yet they disrespect their own time, their own values, their own commitments. Dominion is mirrored. If you will not obey yourself, no one will obey you. If you live in chaos, people will flee your shadow. If you live with order, people will seek your guidance. You cannot escape this law. And finally, dominion extends to destiny itself. When a man governs time, wealth, and people, he steps into a current larger than himself. He no longer asks life for permission, he directs it. He bends the world because he has bent himself into alignment with eternal law. Solomon's destiny was to be the wisest king. Buffett was to be the patient steward of capital. Baldwin was to be the lion-hearted king who bore disease yet still carried dignity. None of these men forced destiny. They governed themselves so well that destiny revealed itself as a natural path. So what is the lesson for you, friend? Stop chasing crowns before you can wear them. Govern what you have. Govern yourself with iron. Govern your hours with clarity. Govern your coin with wisdom. Govern your words with integrity. Govern your people, family, friends, followers with honor. Only then will the crown sit right on your head. Only then will the world bend and stay bent. But let me leave you with this warning under the rain. Dominion is a burden as well as a gift. A king must govern for his people, not for himself. A steward must multiply not just for pride, but for those who depend on him. Dominion is responsibility. If you seek it only for glory, it will crush you. If you embrace it as service, it will exalt you. Buffett's billions are useful because they are deployed for good. Solomon's wisdom was praised because it blessed his people. Baldwin reign was honored because he carried suffering without selfishness. Dominion is heavy, but it is holy. So tonight, as the fire burns low, I ask you, will you govern yourself so well that the world cannot help but trust you with more? Or will you chase crowns with weak hands, only to lose them in the mud? The choice is yours, and the law is clear. Govern small, and you will be given more. Govern well, and you will bend the world without lifting a sword. That is dominion. That is law. Now we arrive at the third pillar, vision. And I tell you plain, vision is rarer than gold, more dangerous than fire, and more powerful than armies. Without it, a man wanders in circles, wearing himself down on paths that lead nowhere. With it, a man can walk alone through deserts and still arrive at a throne. Vision is the language of destiny. It is the seed planted in silence that grows into empires. Solomon's vision was not riches, it was understanding, discernment, a heart that could distinguish truth from deception. Because his vision was pure, gold chased him. Baldwin's vision was not conquest, it was survival of a kingdom and the dignity of his people. Though his body decayed, his vision outlived him and gave Jerusalem strength. Buffett's vision was not quick fortune, it was the slow, steady multiplication of value, compounded patiently. Because of that vision, the world bent his way without him begging for it. So I ask you, what is your vision? Do you have one, or are you merely living off the visions of others? Most men are not defeated by weakness, they are defeated by blindness. They have no picture of who they are becoming. They rise, they labor, they fall asleep, all without direction. They plant seeds on barren soil because they never took the time to see the field clearly, and then they curse the ground for not producing harvest.
Let give you the law. What you cannot see, you cannot seize. If you cannot picture the man you are destined to become, you will never build him. If you cannot see wealth in your hand, you will not hold it. If you cannot see freedom, you will settle for chains.
The world bends to vision, not to need, not to hunger, not even to pain, but to vision. Vision is not imagination. Do not confuse them. Imagination is cheap. Anyone can dream while lying in bed. Vision costs something. Vision is when you see a thing so clearly that you are willing to suffer for it, sacrifice for it, burn bridges and endure nights of loneliness for it. That is vision. If you are not willing to bleed for it, it is not vision, it is entertainment. Every man you admire had vision written into his bones. Solomon asked for wisdom because he saw beyond the throne. He saw generations, nations, eternity. Baldwin ruled with vision because he knew his body would betray him, but his choices could shape history. Buffett had vision because he looked not at this year's profit, but at the slow rise of decades. Vision outlasts emotion. Vision outlasts discouragement. Vision outlasts death. And here's where most men fall. They confuse vision with approval. They will only pursue their vision if others clap for them. They need permission, but vision does not ask. Vision commands. If you must be encouraged daily to pursue it, it is not vision. True vision burns without applause. It is fire shut up in your bones. You pursue it not because others understand, but because you cannot do otherwise. Now, how do you build vision? You must learn to be still. Vision is not found in noise. Vision is born in silence. Solomon sought it in prayer. Baldwin found it in solitude. Buffett found it in patient study. Most men cannot be alone with themselves for 5 minutes without reaching for distraction, and that is why they will never see clearly. Vision speaks in whispers, not shouts. If you do not train your ear, you will miss it. Once you see it, write it, etch it deep. Vision is slippery. It fades if you do not give it form. Write what you see, not just goals, but the man you must become. Write the law you will obey, the discipline you will practice, the wealth you will steward, the legacy you will leave. Then return to it daily. As surely as water shapes stone, repetition engraves vision into your spirit. But hear another warning. Vision demands alignment. You cannot see one thing and live another. If you declare a vision of strength but live with weakness, you will fracture. If you declare wealth but live in waste, you will sabotage yourself. Vision without alignment is delusion. But when your habits, your choices, your relationships, and your words all bend toward vision, then the world bends with you. Vision also requires protection. Doubt will come dressed as reason. Fear will come dressed as caution. Enemies will rise who cannot see what you see and will mock it because they are blind. Do not argue with them. Do not waste your breath convincing those who cannot see. A blind man cannot be argued into sight. Guard your vision. Protect it like a seed in the soil until it sprouts strong enough to be undeniable. And finally, vision must serve. If your vision is only about you, it will rot.
Vision that blesses only the self collapses under its own weight. Solomon's wisdom served nations. Baldwin courage served his people. Buffett patience served generations of investors. Your vision must serve beyond yourself, or else it will die with you. The world bends to vision because vision bends to eternity. If you want it to last, let it serve. So I ask again, what is your vision? Will you drift, living another man's dream, or will you dare to see, to suffer, to stand alone, and to hold a vision so strong the world itself bends to it? That choice, my friend, is the dividing line between those who live forgotten and those who live remembered. Vision is the breath of destiny. Without it, you choke. With it, you reign. Now take this to heart. Stop waiting for a sign in the sky. Stop begging for permission. Sit in silence. Listen, see, write, align, protect, serve. Then act with the certainty of a man who has already seen the ending. That is vision. And when you carry it, the world will not merely bend, it will kneel.